applause for Nina Kraviz.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming.
And yeah, the title of our talk today is The Evolution of My Sound, Your Sound. You've spoken quite a lot over the years about influences, about things you've listened to, and certainly in the times that I've interviewed you, there's been some key things, like your father's record collection, listening to Grace Jones and Weather Report when you were young, hearing a radio station from Moscow playing Detroit, Chicago, acid house, techno. Then when you moved to Moscow, you were playing punk and disco first, and also being in a rock band. So
Punk rock.
Punk rock. And then, of course, as everyone well knows, techno became the centre of.
Actually, no, there was also a very strong house.
Yeah,
sure. I was playing house with so much pleasure, and it took a long time for me to just exhaust this need to keep it in the house direction. Yeah, but I was really to all sorts of house as well, like everything from kind of Detroit, Theo Parrish, Flow House, and to Dance Event, which was like really also a heavy part of my influence.
Yeah, and I mean you kind of referenced Ghetto House on the production,
yes,
and so on. So I just wanted to kind of do a whistle stop through those influences, because
whistle stop
tour, a whirlwind tour through those kind of keystone influences early on, because rather than talking about influences, this is the tech side of the conference, the studio side of the conference. So we want to talk about how you express those.
Actually, do you know how to whistle? I never tried. I whistle. I don't know how people do it.
I can't do the.
Yeah, I also can't do it.
I can't do the full-on summoning the geese from the field whistle, but it's you need to listen on your tracks. The Otis Redding. Actually, there's a great recording of Otis Redding. There's a box set of Otis Redding, on Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, and he whistles at the end. When it was sampled on the De La Soul record, he couldn't whistle, and there's like about 15 takes on this box set of him breaking down in laughter every time he tries to whistle. It's like one of those great studio accidents, and finally, when he got it, it became one of these greatest records of all time. But this is the kind of thing that we're really interested in the studio. Everyone can talk about modular synths and what to plug into what all the time, but I know that you kind of tend to take you like happy accidents in the studio, is that right?
Yeah, I do like happy accidents or just accidents in the studio, and I'm a kind of strange artist. Normally all the artists and all talented people that I know, they know their instruments. They know how to regulate the amount of their comfort. Then they know how to get out of the comfort. And then they lock themselves in the studio, and they kind of go to the studio with the same idea. And sometimes watching other people or listening to what came out of such structure is actually pretty amazing. Always it amazes me every time I hear it. But with me, it's a little bit difficult, and sometimes I don't even know how to deal with it. I just mostly get all my inspiration from either having a very exciting moment of first encounter with an instrument, or with a person, or by being in a very exciting new place where I have never been before, or by being very angry, or being very happy, on some kind of extreme edges of emotions. And then out of this very weird conflict or contact, thank you so much, comes something that I cannot regulate. Unfortunately, unfortunately.
All of those things that you described, whether it's chance encounters, instant reactions, sudden emotions, are by definition exist in the moment.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to capture them into something that is going to be reproduced, that's obviously the great challenge. I mean, if we can kind of start at the beginning. When did you first go into a studio?
When did I first go to the studio? Actually, it was in 2005, I think, or 2004. I was in a studio for my voice, for vocals, because I met the guy just like by accident, basically. I started to jam with a band, MySpace Rocket, and I wrote my first song. That about around that time. It was like more in a disco direction. And then there was this journalist, because I was also like I was doing a lot of like different jobs just to keep up my living in Moscow, which was really expensive. And I was also being a student at medical university, so it was kind of I had to survive somehow. So I would take all these jobs whenever, you know. And at some point, there was this journalist, a colleague of mine from Switzerland, who had a friend who his name is Golden Boy. He made this hit with Miss Keating, that time, Ripping Keating. And somehow we connected, and he said, "Oh, Nina, you actually singing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just like I really like singing." And he's like, "Would you like to sing something on my album? I'm doing like the album, and would be great if we just could work together on a few songs." I said, "Yeah, of course, no problem. I'm a songwriter also in the very beginning." He said, "Yeah, cool." And then I went to Switzerland and we recorded the first song. No, actually two songs, but the album never really came out because Ladamont went bankrupt. But I continued my evolution as a singer in this band and a songwriter.
Were you when you went into the studio? Were you fascinated by, interested in the process?
Absolutely, I could not believe that I am actually I'm recording my voice. And you know, you have to understand that I'm not a trained musician. You know, I was everything by some kind of instinct, out of pure enjoyment or something like that, the joy of doing it.
Were you already DJing by that point?
Yeah, I was already a DJ. I was doing lots of different things. I was also into my funk music and disco, like this kind of obscure disco time. And then I was still collecting acid, but just never really played it out. And I was also, I think it was in the very beginning, where I was actually very often in Holland, because I was IF long time ago. He gave me also like parallelly. Everything was happening like at the same time. I was taking care of him as a host, and then he would give me the record from Ulix, the record label that he's running. And
so this is the kind of Italo disco, neo Italo.
Mazzo and Paoli. It was the first one of the records.
Yeah.
And the other one was Novelman, and he was like, "Yeah, this is three records from our record label." And I didn't really have a strong record collection at that time. And he was like, "So, because Ulix has this sign." And since then, it kind of practically has started my record collection, or co-started. And so I was listening to his radio show that time was called CBS, Cybernetic Broadcasting System. And I would sometimes just for fun come to Holland and to meet really interesting people.
And this is what became Interstellar FM?
Intergalactic.
Intergalactic, yeah, sorry, yes.
But
yes.
I mean, it just, the switch became, happened not so long ago. For a very long time, CBS was just functioning as that. And so basically I got really into it, and I was all over all this kind of mixture of disco, Italo, like acid, this kind of bunker sound, you did Mobius. I was completely like, that was everything I wanted to do. And
so did you consider producing that kind of music
no,
yourself?
I was just pure enjoying like what was happening. I was not thinking at all. Like the thinking process was just on the back of my mind. I was just really, really passionate about it, and I was just doing everything at the same time, and didn't really know why I made this choice. So I would come to Rotterdam to hang with a guy who didn't do anything but just going and finding old disco records and trying to put them in the perfect mix. Loud E, his name, really, really talented guy. Like one of the best disco DJ that I know since that time till now. And yeah, he would just only do that. You know, he was so like focused on this process. It was actually sometimes exhausting, and I had no interest in anything than that. Like, it was just absolutely taking over this musical addiction, you know. And I was not into romance. I was not into that. I was just all about um, being somewhere next to these kind of people, you know, and at the same time doing the songs. So at one point I became a singer in the band, and also parallelly I was just like looking into Ableton, and at the same time everything was just like too much. I won, not won, but I became a participant of Red Bull Music Academy in 2005, and I was really, really happy because it was just like, it was just a dream to come true, you know. They give you this really long questionnaire that you need to fill in, and I took this really seriously. I wrote everything I thought I wanted to write, and it worked. And then,
the application.
yeah, the application, yeah. And then also parallelly, I was working in this host, so I would meet a crazy amount of really inspiring people, like from Juan Atkins to like Grace Jones to Lydia Lunch to some really fundamentally
so in Moscow, kind of welcoming people to.
Yeah, not only that, but sometimes just like having the chance to have just like really interesting conversations. And also, but Juan Atkins I met from my journalist side, because I asked him a very interesting question and he got like interested why I did it.